John Rothman with you right here on KGO. So many of you calling, I'm not surprised, because people who are involved in Asperger's understand how little information there is in general. The Mom's Guide to Asperger Syndrome, there's no cure, there's no, snap answer. What this is a step-by-step approach to how to deal with what you're going to be dealing with your whole life if you know somebody with Asperger's. Jan Johnston-Tyler is the author of the book. Let's get right to your calls. John calling from Bandon, Oregon. Sorry. Welcome to KGO.
Yes, hello, John and Jane. I appreciate you doing this show tonight on this topic. I'm wondering if Jane has any recalling anything about the use of thimerosal and some of the findings about autism being caused by this mercury preservative in vaccines.
Stay with me. Don't go away, and Jan will answer your question. Go ahead, Jan.
Yeah, there certainly was quite a lot of brouhaha, certainly in the last 3 or 4 years about this. As I recall, the doctor who published that well-known report has since been absolutely disgraced. His study was flawed from top to bottom. Here's one way that I'd like the listeners to frame this in their mind. If there was indeed a cause and effect from vaccinations, particularly that one type, why is it that autism and Asperger syndrome has been around for generations, decades? We're now coming to understand that the likes of Albert Einstein, Thomas Jefferson, possibly even Galileo, Michelangelo, were likely on the spectrum, or certainly shared components of that type of personality. I'm pretty sure they didn't get immunization. So I really think that it's a wish and a prayer in some regards that we could find an easy solution. The bottom line is having Asperger's is not bad. It's just different.
And I appreciate the call. Let me ask you about the term Asperger's. Mm-hmm. Dr. Asperger is the one who first diagnosed this. When did that happen? How did it happen?
Hans Asperger in the 40s had several clients that he called the little professors. He was very much engaged by these young men. But he noticed that there were some differences in how they processed, how they related socially, and the fact that they had very deep interests in things that other children their same age would not find terribly interesting. Something that we might now call very similar to hyperfocus.
So my friend's son, who absolutely loves flying, mm-hmm. he thinks flying's the greatest thing that ever happened. Is that part of that process?
It very well could be. Frequently, people who are on the spectrum have one or maybe 2 or 3 topics of interest. We tend to call it perseveration, where they're absolutely fascinated by something. It can be refrigerators. I had a client several years ago who knew everything about every kind of refrigerator known to mankind. Typically, it's not that far off the charts. You'll see kids in grade school who are absolutely know everything about Pokemon or know everything about a particular video game. As they get older, they might find a different type of topic. I have a couple of clients now who know everything about history, particularly World War II, for example. So yeah, they find something that intrigues them and they dig very deeply into that topic.
8080810 is the number right here on KGO. Jan Johnston-Tyler is my guest. Her book, The Mom's Guide to Asperger Syndrome and Related Disorders, is available from Amazon.com. You can go to BarnesandNoble.com. You can check around, or you can go to her website, which is
www.EvoLibri.com.
And this book, I'm telling you, is so important, and it's just splendid. We'll talk more with her, and many, many more of you with questions. We'll try to take as many as we can right here on the John Rothman program. It is 11:31, and it is now time to... John Rothman with you right here on KGO. My guest is Jan Johnston-Tyler. Her book is The Mom's Guide to Asperger Syndrome. Can you tell everyone how you spell your website?
Certainly. It's www.
Hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
EvoLibri, E, V as in Victor, O, L-I, B as in boy, R-I.com.
Excellent. Okay, let's go to Don calling from Concord. Don, welcome to KGO.
Good evening. Very, very timely. I'm the president of a group in Concord, California, which is a nonprofit operation that houses, job counsels, and assists those adults that have autism spectrum disorders, and particularly reasonably high functioning, and we have a lot of Asperger's clients. We have a full-time neuropsychologist on staff and have been doing this for about the last 23 years.
I think I know who you are, and your service is wonderful.
Well, thank you kindly. It's so timely, and I'm just so delighted you wrote a book on this topic because so many parents and caregivers just know not what to do. So I wanted to thank you kindly and hope things go well.
Thank you.
And I appreciate very much your call. Let's go to James calling from Sunnyvale. James, welcome to KGO.
Yes, thanks for taking my call. Anyway, I was diagnosed as an adult even though I was born with Asperger's, and the whole irony behind it is maybe something that your guest mentioned earlier. I was invited to join Mensa and Intertel. Intertel is the top 1%, and Mensa is the top 2%, and I was told I'm in the top 0.25%. Actually, I had a lot of hobbies. A lot of things intrigued me, just like the person with the refrigerator, electronics, and a whole slew of things. But then, on the other hand, there were things I was just plain not interested in, and it was kind of a fight with my parents. But on the other hand, I could foresee things like I was laughed out of my class before. I asked my fourth grade teacher if I told her I think Castro was a communist, and I was practically laughed out of the classroom. In third grade, I remember I read a little article in the newspaper, and I asked in 1957 if Iraq was going to someday invade Kuwait, and we were going to someday be at war with them.
Let me ask you a question. How old are you?
I'm 62 right now, but I don't look at my body's actually functioning, and just like somebody in their teens. I mean, I took a little notice of something that was once mentioned on the radio at Stanford about a certain vitamin that a doctor found was the closest scientific thing, realistically known to the fountain of youth. I caught on to it, and I've been taking it for many years.
Well, it sounds like you're doing very, very well. Thank you for your call. Let me ask you, Jan, is that a typical kind of response?
Absolutely. It's definitely the kind of response I would see or hear from an adult with Asperger syndrome. I think it's delightful. I love hearing stories like that. And James, if you're still listening, I want you to know I have an adult support group for ASBs. And we're in Sunnyvale, by the way. You can find me and find the support group, and we do one also for teenagers. If you go to meetup.com, that's meetup.com, and if you search on EvoLibri, EVOLIBRI, you'll see our various support groups. I'd love to have you come to our adult group. We meet once a month on Sundays and have a potluck dinner, and we've got adult Aspies. I think the upper age right now is about 58, so you're in good company.
It's absolutely fascinating to me that this kind of opportunity exists for people. Why is it that it's taken so long to address this question?
Well, I think in large part because we didn't have a diagnosis. And, you know, a label's just a label. I also think that part of the reason why this has come to a head now our world is very different. I think that the world was much more forgiving to people with Asperger syndrome in the past. We found ways, or they found ways, to use their considerable talents, and were successful in their own rights. But I think now, certainly in elementary school, where we make children sit still for hours on end, we're starting to see children who can't do that. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we call them, either behavior problems, or we find a way to figure out why are they not able to sit still? Why do they behave differently? So it doesn't matter if it's ADHD or Asperger syndrome.
My guest is Jan Johnston-Tyler. Her book is The Mom's Guide to Asperger Syndrome and Related Disorders, available at Amazon.com. This is an exceptional book. It is an important book. And for those of you dealing with Asperger's or the autism spectrum, I can only tell you it is a must-read. It is absolutely essential. And if you know people who may not be listening tonight, you want to make sure you get them a copy of this book. It will be invaluable in terms of dealing with a very, very tough problem. And I'm very grateful to Jan for coming in on this rainy night. Many more of you with questions, 8080810, John Rothman, right here on KGO.